All right, guys. Welcome back to the Open Late Podcast with Nev and Kev. I'm Nev.
And I'm Kev. What's going on, man?
Yes, sir. Kev, how you feeling today?
Doing good. Doing real good, man. Just kicking back.
Kicking back being bull or what?
Yeah, something like that.
What you got in your hand there? Is that Pete's coffee?
This is Old Faithful right
Old
here.
Faithful? Old Folgers or what?
I didn't have any left at the house, so I went and did a pit stop at the old AM/PM.
Gotcha. You know what? I heard 7-Eleven actually has a really good espresso. I never tried it though.
Espresso?
Espresso. Yeah, they got this like fancy machine in 7-Eleven now where it dispenses your coffee, right? But it'll literally make it flavored inside the machine, I think. At least that's what I've seen on TikTok. It's like, if you wanted like a vanilla iced espresso, it'll literally do that for you in the machine. It's like a vending machine type thing. You just press
I know
the
what you're
touch
talking
screen.
about. Yeah, it has the beans on the top.
Yeah.
And it funnels them down and grinds it and does the whole thing. I think AM/PM has one of those. Maybe not all of them, but I know the one that I go to does. But yeah, I don't do what I do. Have some coffee black, make it quick.
Some gas station coffee, bro. It's underrated, man. People out here paying $8. $8 for a latte. You can get it $2 and add to your rewards on 7-Eleven.
Yeah. And you know that's the funny thing about that is how expensive Starbucks and like what Pete's and all those places, Starbucks specifically, like for one, they're inconsistent as hell. So I'm sorry to you baristas out there, but I'm sure you know. Inconsistent, bruh. Like I do like when I do go there on the rare occasion, which I really try not to, because like I said, I don't agree with how expensive it is and then like the inconsistency, but I'm a sucker for a peppermint mocha.
For real? That's your drink of choice?
I don't know why. I
don't picture you as a peppermint guy.
Well, it's just that. It's only that.
The holiday season?
I think that's what it is.
Yeah.
I think because like I'm a sucker for Christmas. Like that's my favorite holiday. Like the feeling you get when it's like you're deep into it now and it's cold and then like, you know, you just have that I don't know, that joy that comes with it knowing. And then like there's this like thing about peppermint and hot chocolates and and just like, I don't know.
It's
you know
like
what I'm saying? Being by a fire and being all cozy. And then, so then you get one of them bad boys. They're good. But like I said, I would honestly be more tempted to go ahead and make my own over going to Starbucks. Yeah. Because sometimes you ever get like super stoked for something?
And then you just let down.
And then you get it and
constantly.
You're like, fuck,
after you spent $8 on it.
Exactly.
So your love for peppermint is equivalent to a white girl's love of pumpkin spice.
Ooh, I guess I don't get that one either, but yeah, I'll take it.
You'll take it.
I'll take it.
Holiday season, man.
There's something about it. Yeah. Well, shit, man. Let's get on into it, buddy. Man. Well, start with right here. We'll go ahead and theme of today is the remission is the mission, pal.
Yeah,
that's been one that's been on the forefront of the goal from starting chemotherapy. And for those of you tuning in today, we want to touch on his journey and what you've gone through and where you are now. What's the plan going forward? But to start with it, you know, what does remission is the mission? What does that mean to you?
Remission is the mission. Pretty much, what is life going to be like after going through chemotherapy for 6 months, after battling cancer and, you know, hopefully winning the fight? We still don't know, right? Because after you're finished with chemo as a cancer patient, you would think it's over, but that's really when all the questions start. Because anytime you're going to get sick moving forward, you're always going to think in the back of your head, is it the cancer? Is it coming back? Because a PET scan, it can show you like, yeah, you're a clean result, right? Like say I do 12 rounds of chemo and I do a PET scan the following week. The PET scan will reflect those 12 rounds, right? And it could show like, oh, there's no more cancer cells that are showing up on the PET scan. You're good, right? But that's not always the case. That might just be because the chemo you were doing the last 12 rounds, it has been suppressing the cancer cells and killing them in that time period. The real test is going to be, what do the next 6 months look like when you're no longer on chemo? You no longer have weekly blood tests that are monitoring you. You no longer have a team of doctors and nurses always checking on you and wondering how your health is doing and doing all these labs. And that's when the real scary part is, because now you're just back into the world and your health is not being monitored anymore. So in those 6 months where you're no longer getting chemo, you don't know what's brewing inside your body until you get the next PET scan, which granted will be 6 months from when you stop. And then on that next PET scan, you're scared. You're wondering like, damn, like, I don't know if it's going to show that it came back or not, because cancer is always recurring, you know, well, not always, I shouldn't say always, but it has a high likelihood of recurring. And like with chemo and whatnot, you might be cured from one cancer, but chemo can help like develop another cancer in you. So it's kind of like, it could be a lose-lose. You don't know. And that's when the real scary part starts. You know, the hardest battle is not just getting through chemo. The hardest battle is getting through the rest of your life, knowing that, yeah, there's cancer in your genes. You've like when you have kids, they're gonna ask your kids, anybody in the family with history of cancer, and then your kids are gonna say, yeah, my dad. You know, if it was me. And then that's something that you got to carry the rest of your life, you know? And it's not just like you do your 6 months of chemo, you're done. It's like, no, this is a lifelong disease now. It's going to be passed on from generation to generation. And my mom had cancer. My grandpa had cancer. My aunt had cancer. We've all had cancer in our family, right? But my mom, she didn't have to get chemo. They found it early enough to where they just removed her gallbladder. And that was the end of it, you know? And cancer never came back for her, you know, thankfully. But then it got passed on to me, you know what I'm saying? And like my siblings too, like they're got to be more vigilant on their health now, because like they see me go through all of that, so they got to make sure they're getting their checkups done, you know. So there's a lot that goes into having cancer, you know.
Dude, any fucking sneeze or cough, I mean,
yeah, bro, you start
you know
tripping.
what I mean? Like I could imagine like your sisters and then when they have kids, and then, you know, like I know your oldest sister, correct?
Yeah,
she has a
his 3-year-old son now.
3-year-old
my little
son.
nephew.
Wow. And it's definitely, I'm sure, something that's always gonna be on your mind. Like, are you okay? What's going on? Is there something like off? Like, you know, needing to get checked, doing a different panel for your blood work to see like, you know, what's going on there. And I mean, you know, having CF, like I know a portion of like that, like you said, vigilance that you have to pay to your attention to your health. Like, how am I feeling? Like we talk about, and it's something that I say quite often, but like taking inventory of yourself every day. Like, how am I feeling? How am I doing? And mine doesn't always pertain to my, you know, CF. It's more or less like just the mentality of if I do that, and I know that this is my baseline every day, that I'm good, I'm rocking, I'm doing my thing. And then if something changes, then I'm like, okay, well, what is that?
Yeah.
You know, am I getting a little, is it allergies? Is it a little cold?
You start like second guessing.
Yeah, but it's not so much a worrisome to me, because I've been able to mitigate and be really in control of my health. And I'm very fortunate for that. But I could see on your end where you've been healthy your whole life.
Yeah.
You've been doing the right things. You've eaten, clean.
I eat my vegetables
to some degree. Like, you know, we're all not perfect with how we handle our diet, and a lot of times like things go under the radar of what we think we're doing really good, and then you look back at everything that you had that day and you're like, well, I could be better. You know, also too, like the high processed foods that we have on the market of what's available to us, all those things are going to have an impact on your overall diet. Like even when you're trying to eat organic, like some of that shit is still sprayed with pesticides and all these different things, and those are all contributing factors, like the lining that's in aluminum and in the cans, and even in the paper straws. There's still fucking plastics in those paper straws.
Any restaurant you go to is a big ass cancer warning, may cause cancer, but yeah, we still keep going.
And if you're already predisposed to having that within your bloodline, then those signs are even more of a, hey, for you, this probably means more than it is to the person that doesn't have cancer in their family.
Because they never thought it would happen to them.
Right. Or they're just not as prone to getting it because their cells aren't. I'm not a doctor. I don't know how that works, but I do understand like that if it is passed down or it does live within your family, like if you have diabetes within your family and then you also grow up and eat like shit, you're going to carry that on. You're going to end up being a young adult with type 2 diabetes or whatever it is. And that's going to impact your life. And so then to be aware of it, you can always fix and tighten up your diet, but sometimes there's things that you're just really praying every day that it doesn't show up.
Yeah.
And then for your case, coming out of nowhere, and I watched you like when you were in LA, you're like, yeah, I quit, chiefing.
I quit gardening. We'll call it gardening.
And you're like, because I think like I'm dealing with something in my chest, and it's like this like annoying cough, and then you're like, well, I feel fatigued. Like, why is my energy low? Like,
you remember those early symptoms?
Yeah, and then I remember talking to you on the phone, being like, maybe you got allergies for the first time. Like, I know a lot of people in their adulthood, they'll like randomly never have allergies and then get it, and then be like, why do I feel like this? It's like, oh, you got the old seasonal allergies, but. Then when it persisted and then it started becoming more things where you're like, no, like there's something else going on here.
Yeah.
And then the medical system isn't always designed to be the most on your benefit. It's
especially
a lot of this,
if
like,
you're young.
It's an insurance grab, right? Because they're like, well, we could kind of dangle them like a ping pong ball and bounce you over here and then over here. Then it's like, oh no, talk to this doctor, and then we have to do a follow-up over here. We're gonna send you for x-rays. Now we're gonna do blood work. Oh, we have to wait for insurance to tell you that we could do the blood work. Oh, we actually need to do another different panel on that blood work. Come back and then we're gonna do it again. Oh, now you're gonna go talk to this doctor. Okay, now we're gonna send you to a specialist. I can go on and on.
Yeah, but you know the runaround I do, too.
And you've that's been how it is, bro. Like it's literally how that world works, because it's unfortunate, but it is not always the best system and design for actually treating and helping people. It's almost like the snake eating itself, right? It's the thing that started out as to be something good that is supposed to be there for you. Like wherever the money is, the devil is too. Yeah. So it's like a lot of times it's like these people could go into this profession for the right intention and trying to help people,
and then be corrupted along the way.
But then they're indoctrinated into this, like, don't ask questions, do what you're fucking told to do. You know what you studied in school. You knew how this practice handles it. You know that there's bonuses from corporations that need people to do this, and we get more money if we have you do this scan. And the most lucrative thing for doctors to be able to put people on is chemotherapy.
Yeah.
So think about how quickly they could get you on chemo, but now when it's the PET scan, when you're supposed to do it halfway through, so they could even see that they're not working in the dark, which is what happened through the entirety of your chemotherapy. They push it off, push it off. So then you could get all those 12 rounds and then possibly and some.
Yep. So like,
and you have to wonder where's the corruption there.
Yeah,
you know?
It's crazy because it's like, you're right. Like I was supposed to get my PET scan after my 8th round of chemo. I finished chemo 2 weeks ago already. I finished 12 rounds. I finished every round of chemo that was in my regimen already, and I still have not gotten my PET scan. And that's partly because of insurance, partly because of like negligence in the hospital staff, which is a whole other story I'll go into, whatever happened yesterday. But this is wild because the thing that was supposed to check if chemo is even working, insurance is not down to approve that. But they're down to approve 12 rounds of chemo. Yeah, for sure, you know.
The money is, dog.
And my oncologist told me, like, hey, after the 8th round, you're going to do a PET scan. If the PET scan shows remission, you possibly don't even have to do the other 4 rounds, you know. Mm-hmm. You don't have to finish all 12 if the 8th round shows remission. But since insurance never approved it in time for the 8th round, I ended up doing all 12 anyways. And I still don't know if I show remission because I still have not been able to get a damn PET scan.
Right. Which the way that your body... This me being you know, optimistic about everything, and also like I am a skeptic to a lot of things. Like I try and think about where the negative is in that, not to like focus on it, but just to be aware of it. Like it's like, how close is that to me before I get bit?
Yeah,
you know what I mean? It's like I'm not hyper focused on that, but I at least like to know, okay, what is the other possibility here? And so like for that, for instance, it's like because of how well your body was reacting to everything, and like how like I feel like you really handled it like a champ, and I'm not entirely sure if that's all from your own will, and I believe a large degree of that is, but then the other side of it is that it's because your body reacted well to the chemotherapy. And for having stage 4 Hodgkin's lymphoma, which, you know, most people in maybe in different cancer circumstances or a different type of cancer, you're basically just making amends when doing the things that you want to do with your life before you go on to the next, you know, thing after this. And for lack of better words, it's like not something that's easy to talk about in that light, but it is the reality of where you start to think like, man, like stage 4, like holy shit. And then to know that you fought it and you're doing so well, and I like there's this like the clarity like in your eyes that like I just feel like you've kept that light with you, and I'm sure that has a huge part to do in your ability to fight that off. I think it's spiritually where you are aligned is where you tend to go. And I think you kept that fire in you the entire time. And you never really seem defeated, even right now when you're dealing with all this frustration. But I have to pull myself back in because I get a little fucking, my mind is in these different areas. But it's you start to wonder if they recognize how well you're doing, and then that's where, it doesn't become a priority, and then the PET scan could get pushed, because if you looked at you would be like, yeah, you probably don't need all 12 rounds of chemo.
Yeah.
Maybe not. I don't know.
Yeah, we don't know.
Right? But the way that you looked, like if somebody was to just have you stand there and analyze you that way, they would probably be like, no, like he's doing fucking awesome.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
He looks great. Looks can be deceiving, sure. But just from that perspective, then it's like, well, fuck, if we have them tested, we're probably going to not be able to get these 12 rounds out of them.
Yeah, they probably won't make money off the next 4 rounds of
so
chemo.
then that's the skeptic side of me, right? And I try not to live in that area too much, because it is like, hard. I don't like to think about the world that way, but it is the reality. And I do want to say too, because I want you to move on to the next thing and dive deeper into it. But just so I don't come off like a complete asshole, because I do have friends that are in the medical field, and I have had my fair share of doctors and specialists that are incredible.
Yeah, same.
That are just absolutely incredible people that don't seem like they are necessarily like have been indoctrinated into that way of thinking. And it is like those nurses that I seen at your facility.
Incredible.
All of them incredible. Like they were so happy to see you doing well, and they just seem like they have so much love in their heart up against what they see every day.
Yeah. And
I'm sure that could be frustrating on them, because they're just trying to heal people and be there. So I do want to say, like, I have the utmost respect for people in the medical field that still haven't been bittered or that
they
beauty
still have
stripped
their
from them.
internal values
Exactly.
and morality,
But there is, there's been times now with that, the double edge. It's like, I think that there is like the difference between that and then like the people that like have their own practice, right? Like whenever I was real young, I was in high school still, and you think about how crazy this is now, but back then it was like, it seemed kind of normal, I guess, the way that they went about it. But I went to the doctor because my knee was all messed up from skating and, dirt bike riding and just getting thrown around and, not ever
being a kid.
Yeah, but not ever properly healing and just getting back after it, right? Rub some dirt on it, and so I went to the doctor and I was like, yeah, I have really bad pain in my knee. No x-ray, no nothing. He was like, okay, have you taken ibuprofen? I said, yes, sir. I take ibuprofen, whatever. He goes, and I was like, it's not really doing anything for the pain. And I'm a kid. I'm not over here trying to finagle drugs out of my doctor. I'm thinking like, oh, he's just going to do whatever's going to help me to where I can continue to play and be out there and do what I'm doing and not feel like I'm having issues and I'm young as shit. I'm 13, whatever years old, 14, or I was probably 14, 15 years old. And he writes me a prescription of Vicodin.
For a 13-year-old.
Yeah, 1,000 milligram 1,000 mg yellows, the 1,000 milligram Vicodin. And luckily I've been fortunate that I don't have an addictive personality, because like that's where it starts, right?
Yeah, as a 13-year-old's nuts, bro.
Wild. So I would take it from time to time.
Vicodin before x-ray is crazy.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying, bro. But see, that was the practice. Like back then, like during that time was like when opioids where they were getting kickbacks and they were getting bonuses for pushing like the Sackler family, with like all the Oxycontin and stuff like that, and what that did to American society and how the opioid crisis that happened. Well, whenever they're making these miracle drugs that are taking pain away from people and they're not really thinking about the adverse of that, they're just, oh, you mean to tell me that if I write X amount of scripts per year, I'll get this amount of money back?
Bonuses
and all this
these
stuff.
Pharmaceutical reps.
You're a private independent practice that this guy and his wife had. Of course, they're like, just okay, whatever. Like they don't give a fuck about how I'm actually doing or if I'm actually healing. They're giving whatever's going to line their pockets. That's where the corruption comes from. Like I had to have surgery, which in my UCSF clinic, I had to go to a specialist for ENT, and I had polyps in my nasal passages. So they had to be cauterized and cut out and whatever. And when I went there to go get that done, I was 17, I think 16 or 17. And I went to go get that done. And it ended up being a very serious surgery. It took 4 hours I was under, which is quite a long time.
That's a long time.
And they had to go back behind my eyes and like the brain, because your nasal passages go so many different ways, right? So I go and I do that. And I realized from that experience, like how in depth and serious that was. And when I went to that doctor, this is before now, like, and I went to him.
Throwing pills
he
at
was
you.
No, he was like, "Oh, you have polyps," which is what I had
Yeah.
this big surgery for. He's like, "Oh, I could just cut them out now." He literally was like, "Oh, I could get my little scalpel deal." He's like, "I could see where it is here at the like back of my nose." He's like, "Yeah, I could just cut them out."
No fucking way. Just to make a quick buck.
Look,
that's
man,
like some back alley doctor
yes.
shit. That's like black market stuff.
Yes, and I was like, no, buddy, I'm not doing that. And then come to find out,
on a kid is crazy.
Yeah, dude. But I was in there by myself. I'm young. Like when you talk to a doctor, you have this trust in their ability to do what they're doing and that they have your best interest in mind. And that's not always the case. But you hear about tons of those things. That doctor, he was from the US. I don't know where his practice was or whatever, but he went to prison because he was putting like hundreds of people on chemotherapy. None of them had cancer.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah, he just started putting a bunch. I wish I knew his name because he's a fucking terrible human. But yeah, he put hundreds of people on chemotherapy. And then whenever they went back to the medical records and he had like an audit was put on him and his practice, because they're like, how many people are you dealing with? Like they all have cancer. Found out that none of them had cancer. That he said when he was on trial or whatever, he said in the medical field, you eat what you kill. And that was the way that he had looked at it.
As if you don't make enough just being a doctor.
Yeah, because it's a competitive industry. If I'm not doing more than this other doctor, I'm not going to make my money. They're not going to give me funding for my practice. So therefore, if I could put more people under different things that they don't need, then I'll get more money and more whatever for what they're doing over there.
That's fucked up, bro. So. Especially chemo, bro. Chemo is literally poison. It is the devil.
It's
and
nuking your body.
Literally. Like I could tell you firsthand, dog. Yeah. Chemo's the worst shit I've ever been through in my life. Yeah. Like there's nothing that compares to how horrible chemo is, you know? And it's like if they have cancer, sure, do chemo, because you know what other choice do you have? I get the people in the comments all the time saying like, oh, you know, just eat a spoonful of turmeric every day, your cancer will go away. And like, no, it fucking won't, bro. Like that's not how the body works. That's not how diseases work, you know? Like there are some herbal remedies that may assist, you know, alongside with chemotherapy, but there's no herbal remedy, to my knowledge, that will kill cancer cells directly. You know?
Yeah, I think the only thing that they talk about is there is something about going through a state of fasting, or whenever you do introduce foods into your diet.
Yeah, they say starve your cancer.
Yeah, not having carbohydrate and not having things that stimulate the glucosamines or whatever for your sugar, because carb and sugar fuel cancer cells rapidly, and that's what they live off of. So when people are like, oh, I'm gonna go on a water fast while I'm dealing with this, or before getting on chemotherapy, they'll go and do that, and then they can see that there is a reduction and a shrinkage to the cancer cells, which shows that your body does have what it takes to fight those off. Now, to the extent of how bad your cancer is, maybe you're a little too far gone down that path where you can help assist the chemotherapy if you did those things. But to your point, it's like you're doing so much. You're like, if I don't know what my outcome is going to be, I'm also not going to perish knowing that I fasted and didn't enjoy anything while I'm nuking my body.
That literally ruins your quality of life. Yeah. First of all, carbs and sugar are not bad things. Your body needs those things for energy.
Depends what kind of carbs and sugar you eat. Yeah.
Yes, but overall, it's not bad. Like you need those for your body. If you're completely starving yourself and fasting, first of all, you're going to feel like even more shit on top of if you're already doing chemo. Second of all, I don't personally believe you need to do all that, because chemotherapy is so powerful in itself. It's literally destroying every cell in your body. So why are you trying to destroy more cells on top while suffering? And then if you're not having an appetite because you're not because you're going through chemo, it's like you're kind of like depriving your body more of energy that it would need to combat the chemo. You know, like you're literally going to be a walking zombie at that point if you're fasting on top of doing chemotherapy. Like, you know, to each his own. I'm sure people have done it, right? For their own beliefs or whatever it is, but like I don't think I could ever do that, man. It's like, dude, like your body needs food. Like, how are you going to deny it of that basic need? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. No, and it makes total sense, like where your logic is or where your mind is, because like obviously you went through something that I haven't, so you know what that did to your mind and your body, and where you seen the benefit versus the not.
Yeah.
I don't know how I would handle that situation. I mean, you know, that I pray that, you know, you don't have to go back into that realm, as I hope that it's not something that happens to me or other people. You know, it's a very difficult thing to go through, and that's only from my perspective of watching you go through it. So I understand where your heart is at on that. Like, yeah, well, I'm already nuking my body from the inside. I might as well then
enjoy life a little
and eat a little bit of what I want. I think that what people could do in general, say they don't have cancer, you know what I mean? But just in general,
eat better.
There is a huge benefit overall to eating healthier. And I don't know if I touched on this on the last podcast, but like, call me hippy dippy, don't matter. At the end of the day, there's more studies and stuff coming around about it whenever you walk into the world of peptides and walk into the world of nutrition, and you understand that like for a doctor to get their medical degree, they don't have to go through, I think, anything more than like a very, 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 very small percentage of nutrition. It's not a part of their curriculum to be a doctor, to be unless you go to be a nutritionist, right? And so they don't understand that there's certain things that you put into your body that give you certain outcomes. So like doctors were telling people like, oh, it doesn't really matter what you eat. It matters about how much you eat. And that's like, that's totally false. Like that's not true. And they're proven to be false. Like as you talk to nutritionists, which I've had my entire life, or like me doing my own research because I'm like obsessed with that stuff and biohacking and whatnot, but like not in a weird like hippy dippy way, but more or less like I've done things to my body that have given me certain outcomes and made me feel certain types of ways. I've deprived myself of certain things and it's gave me certain outcomes that are proven and felt. And then I'm like, okay, like, oh, that's the way. So it's like people don't even understand their body. And then you go to a doctor that's like pushing pills and you expect them to have the answers to your questions. They're going to tell you, no, you know what? You have high blood pressure. We're just going to put you on medication. Well, maybe you have high blood pressure because your diet. Yeah, because your diet, because you're inflamed, because your body's having to work fucking harder to push the blood, your syrupy, thick fucking blood through your body because all you do is eat fucking sugars and terrible carbs. And that's what the consistency of your diet is. You don't have protein. Your muscles are fucking malnutrition. Your body is in constant aches and pains because you drink on the fucking weekend, and that inflames your body even more. And then you wonder why you don't have energy. You wonder why your cortisol levels are high. You wonder why your stress hormones are through the roof. You wonder why you can't even get through the basic tasks. And then you look at like what your fucking grandparents were able to do, and they built their house that they live in and they worked a full-time job and they still coached football and baseball and played those sports. And it's like, what is going, like, why is it that like some older women are still out there getting after it because they fucking eat twice a day, and what they eat is meats, vegetables, potatoes, like things that are balanced. They're not living off of McDonald's. They're not living off of things that are highly processed. So,
people are also like miseducated too, you know, like people are not properly explained what health is. Our health class in high school was not that informative overall, you know.
Talked about a pyramid. A pyramid scheme of literally what foods and things that you need for a well-balanced American
and dairy's
diet.
At the top of that, when dairy's been paid for by the dairy industry, you know what I'm saying? Like, dairy's not bad necessarily, but it's also not the most healthiest thing in the world.
Breakfast is a made up fucking thing to sell more produce, to sell more breakfast foods, to sell more things that people wouldn't eat in the later end of the day. Majority of people, like, not necessarily, it's almost our parents' generation, but more so like my grandparents, they didn't grow up really eating breakfast. Like, it was like an eggs and toast. Like a carb and a protein, right? It was something quick, like that in their coffee. Like, now it's like, oh, you gotta go get the French toast with the butter and the syrup, and then 3 pieces and then it's like 3 eggs, and then you're gonna get your bacon, your sausage, your orange juice, your whatever the fuck, your coffee that you put 4 things of cream in, and it's like, and then you're like, oh, I feel awesome, and then 30 minutes later you're like, I feel like
that's why you feel like shit after brunch.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
It's like, it is a falsity on what the body really needs. Like, intermittent fasting is incredibly beneficial for you. You don't really need to eat first thing in the morning. If you did have some like Celtic salt with your water, like it's like, as you hear like Gary Brecka and all these guys talk about it, but like they're talking about it because he's a very intelligent guy, obviously, and he's on every platform talking about it. But this isn't like he struck gold and figured this out. Like, no, this is stuff that's been around forever. Like, people have like high sodium in their diet from processed foods, but not actual sodium from like the mineral that you need for electrolytes and hydration in your body. So if the first thing you do in the morning is go put a bunch of sugar in your coffee, and then the last thing you think about is maybe drinking a little bit of water with some salt to hydrate your body, to jumpstart your process in the system that you need in order to operate throughout the day and manage your energy levels, no wonder why you feel like shit.
Yeah.
And like, I'm not perfect. Like, I drink coffee every morning, but I drink, my creatine with my water and some Celtic salt. Like, I'm doing okay. But I don't want to sit here as trying to be the example, but it is just so funny that like, we've never been in a time in this world where information has been more accessible,
readily available,
everybody
all right here.
And then you can't even make the argument that like, well, I don't want to go on Google and look all this stuff up because
like
I don't
AI
trust
will
the sources.
literally
It's
tell
like,
you.
Dude, you have AI that you could talk to and be like, tell me how to eat better, and then it's just gonna give
It'll
you
make you
a full
whole
thing.
meal plan.
You could say, let me give you my BMI, let me tell you my body mass index, and here's my height, here's my weight, here's my age. Immediately it can tell you, yeah, you're probably fucking obese because you should not be 40 pounds overweight at 25 years old and you're fucking 5'3".
Yeah.
It's like, no, your organs are working so hard. And it's like, what is your regimen of what you do on the weekend? Well, I eat out a lot because I don't want to make my food at home because I don't want to cook. And so I just grab stuff while I'm out. And then it's like, what do you do on the weekends? Oh, well, I go to the bar and I drink. Which are all fine. Look, I'm not out here being a fucking hater like I'm some like high performance athlete. I'm just saying,
I mean, you look like one.
I've been on the adverse of that. I've been a degenerate. I've been a heavy drinker. I've been somebody that's like, I balls to the wall. Like, I've life in the fast lane tatted on my hand. Like, you know me, dog. Like,
I know
you know
you.
how I am. So, but I've
do
always
beer bong hits at 11 a.m.
Yes. But
what a time.
With that though, I've always tried to like also do the other shit, because I'm like, you can't have your cake and eat it too. Like, if you want to live that way and also not try to take care of your body at all, like, it's not going to be good for you,
Definitely.
But yeah, I'm trying over here fucking ranting about this stuff.
Man, you a hater, bro.
No, I'm just super passionate about it. Like, people always like think about diets as like, oh, I'm on a diet as like a restrictive negative thing, and it's like, no, it's like, you don't have to think about, oh, I'm on a diet so I can't eat good food.
No, it's like, you can eat great food. You know what I'm saying?
You just don't have to be
Jack in the Box breakfast.
Exactly.
Nothing against Jack in the Box breakfast. I've never actually had it, but yeah, man,
it's not bad. I'm not gonna lie.
It's not bad.
I'm not out here trying to promote.
After all that,
I have not, like, like I said, I'm not perfect. Like, I've dabbled in stuff. I've also gotten a huge fucking ridiculously big American breakfast from like my diner here in town that I love to go to and I've gone to since I was a kid. Like, there's a time and a place where it's like, sure, go and do that.
Yeah, but if that's your lifestyle every single day, every waking moment, your body's not gonna do well. If you're putting
in like 1,500 calories as your first meal, like,
good luck.
It's not like, for most people that need to be in a deficit, that's their calories for the day.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you should spread out 5 meals throughout the day and get it in increments so your body could process it and digest it properly so you actually get the stuff out of it. That's why people have like the worst stomach pains and like the most just inconsistent bowel movements. And they're like, why do I feel like this? It's like, because your stomach is probably just like trying to figure it out. And then you wonder why. Like I've said before, your stomach is your first brain. It's like, your brain up here is the operating system. This is what's firing off signals. Like when your stomach tells your brain it's hungry, your brain fires off to let you know, hey, I'm hungry, right? That's why whenever you put something in your stomach that doesn't agree with you, your stomach fires off to your brain like, oh, I'm dehydrated. Oh, I don't feel good. But we don't listen to this at all. We think about this as a secondary process that just does the things that it's supposed to do, and you pay it no mind.
Mm-hmm.
But then you realize, like, oh, if like the healthier my gut is, the healthier
this is.
Yes, because all of your cortisol and stress hormones, that all stems from the inflammation and the bad foods that you're eating, which is causing your body to be under a state of stress.
And diet is so important.
Yeah. So, firsthand, dude, like going into remission, like you're obviously going to be, I still want to live life and be eating things that I enjoy, but there is a tightening of your diet where you're like,
you have to be careful.
There's a ton of shit that's fucking terrible. Like Celsiuses are so bad for you, dog.
I used to drink a Celsius
and I told you
every day.
I used to harp on you about this in LA. I'm like, dude, Celsiuses are so bad.
Yeah.
Like so bad. I like drink your yerbas, or I would always try to get you to just drink coffee.
And now I drink coffee.
Yeah. But I would always, bro. And then I see these people like promoting Celsius. I'm like, that's so bad, dude.
I don't know, man. Maybe Celsius is what gave me cancer. Who knows?
Yeah.
It could be a multitude of things, but I was definitely drinking a Celsius a day throughout all of COVID. I will not lie about that. That is
Sometimes
what happened.
2 a day.
No, never 2 a day.
No, you told me, dog. You're like, I had a Celsius whenever, because you would go teach.
Yeah.
And you would have a Celsius with you when you were walking to the school, pal.
I needed it. I needed to mentally prepare for those kids.
And then when you would go on your 3rd job of the day, this guy was doing 3 jobs out there in LA.
Bro.
You were on your 2nd Celsius at the back end of the day because you were like, I need it.
I was running on all stress.
I'm not faulting you. I'm just saying
you're
that
right.
sometimes it was 2 a day. But see, right there is a perfect example of like not even being mindful of the fact that you were doing that.
Yeah. It was just normal.
Yourself, well, I was just doing it once a day. No, sometimes you're doing it twice a day, but you're like, oh, well, I really needed it. But your body's not, or your mind isn't keeping count. So if those things fall under the radar, that's whenever you start being like, damn.
Yeah, I was drinking a lot of Celsius, bro.
Yeah.
And then we would drink alcohol at night. What a time.
Purify the temple, dog.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, man. But it's wild, bro, because it's like doctors, they don't really educate you on their health like that. And like how you were saying earlier about chemotherapies being the most expensive form of medication that a doctor can put you on, and also the most lucrative for a doctor to put you on. I saw a Family Guy episode a long time ago that has stood with me for the entirety of my life. It was the episode where Carter Pewterschmidt, so Lois's dad, he runs this big pharmaceutical company. That's his whole thing. He's a billionaire, right? And his company had the cure for cancer locked away in a vault. And the morality of that episode was, I forgot which character discovered it, but one of the characters discovered it. And they're like, why do you have this locked up? You know, like you could be saving so many lives and all of that. And then Carter said, it's a lot more profitable to treat somebody for the rest of their life than to cure them. So it makes me wonder, because it's like Family Guy's always been woke. Like, let's be real. They make stupid jokes and shit, but a lot of the stuff they be saying on those shows, it really makes you think.
Totally.
And like that made me think for sure. It's like, how do we know what cures exist out there? You know what I'm saying? Like, how is it that cancer has been around forever, like decades, if not even 100 years, right? Cancer is a disease that's been around forever. You mean to tell me there's no cure for it still? There's no cure for it, but we were able to manufacture a COVID vaccine cure in 5 minutes. You know what I'm saying? Like, if they really wanted to make a cure, don't you think they would have done that the same way that they did for the COVID vaccine? But it's a lot more profitable to treat somebody for the rest of their life than to cure them.
Yeah.
And, that's the conspiracy thing. And it's like, you never want to think that, right? Because you always want to like assume the good in people, assume the best in people. People are looking out for each other's interests, the humanity of life, But the reality, apart from the humanity, is we don't know what these corporations know. We don't know what's behind closed doors. We don't know what our government's hiding from us.
Bunch of bad shit, dude.
Bunch of bad stuff.
Bunch of bad shit with bad people.
And it's like, it's really sad, man, because you see kids pass away. You see moms and dads pass away. You see husbands and brothers pass away from this like fucked up disease. And who's to say if there's a cure? We don't know. Only the top like 1% of people probably know whether there is or there isn't.
Yeah. The fact of the matter that they're even once again, to play devil's advocate, the fact that there is things that is making it treatable.
Yeah, immunotherapy.
Great, right?
Yeah.
It's awesome. The fact that there is chemotherapy, great. You know, it's like that's keeping a lot of people around
a little bit longer,
right? Now, if you lived in a world where there was nothing that could treat it, only cure it, how would people profit? You know, it's like you said, it's always better to find a treatment plan than a full prevention or a cure.
But that's what's fucked up, because why do people need to profit that much? As if they're not already profiting billions from everything else.
Follow the money, you'll find the devil. Always. I live by that. Like, look, there's nothing wrong with anybody out there that wants to make money. I want to make money.
Yeah.
I go work to make money. I bust my ass at a job to go make money. Like that, our lives are dictated around having to make money, and the more money you make, the better status you have in this world, and the more people tend to take you serious and look at you as somebody that has figured out the game, because a lot of people live in poverty because they just take what's given to them, and that's a whole nother topic that I won't go and fall into that rant.
It didn't used to be like that. You know, back then it was like hunters gatherers. They operated off the honor and respect system. You didn't need to have money. It was just like, what were you doing for your community? Well,
that's value, right? Like, but when we put value into monetary things and we put value into materialistic things, that's when the shift of humanity happened, right? So think about it from a perspective of like cavemen, right? It's mate selection. So you have two, this could go in two different ways. You have two big guys, right? And the woman is selecting the mate, right? But with the two big guys, one of the guys has like a wolf pelt on the floor and bones and like teeth that shows that he's killed those animals. And the other guy doesn't have that, but he's just as big. Maybe he's even more handsome, right? Don't matter. When she goes into her mate selection, who's she going to tend to go to?
The serial killer?
She's going to go to the guy she's going to go to the guy that has shown through what he has that he can provide and protect, right? Okay, now you take that through an evolutionary perspective of now you go into a world where everything is not about survival in that aspect, but materialistic. If a woman wants a comfortable, easy life, she's going to then look to, you have a guy with a lot of money, a nice car, a big house, security, super successful, or the guy that has fucking grease on his hands and is a blue collar man. It's like, yeah, this is going to be, this is perspective, right? So everybody's going to have a different idea of what that would mean to them. But if you look into it from a materialistic point of value, they're going to see that guy has leveled up 10 levels in this world. And this guy is just grinding his ass off, even though the better provider and the better husband is probably the blue collar guy, right? Like it's probably him. And I'm not saying that you can't be that on that side of it, but I'm saying from what we look at it statistically is like that's where everybody leads. And so you're always leading to like, where is the status going to make me more elevated? Now that's not in everybody's hearts. It's not in my heart. Like,
yeah,
I want to be fulfilled and I want to know that I've contributed in different ways. And that doesn't mean that I have a big house that I'm not using half of the rooms. Like I've lived in positions and situations in majority of all of my life that every room has a purpose. Every room you use because you don't have places to waste. Yeah, you're just like, you worry about getting the most use out of everything you have instead of being like, well, I could just go get 5 more. Like I don't give a shit.
Yeah, because it gives you a better appreciation of resourcefulness. You know what I'm saying?
And so that is where I'm like, that's where the world has changed, right? Whenever things became monetary, when things like, if they're like, hey, well, if you fucking stop talking about how doctors are not doing their job, our company will pay you $50,000 a month.
That's a lot of money.
Would that not be enticing to shut the fuck up? Would that not be enticing to be like, well, maybe I won't talk about those fucking doctors no more?
Yeah.
That is literally because they know, like, wherever the money goes, you'll find the devil. Like, there's the devil in that. Like, anytime that somebody's trying to suppress your voice or trying to tell you not to say something because you're speaking a truth, because you're talking about something that if they're willing to pay you money, They know that you're saying
yeah.
the truth. They know, like, this motherfucker's onto something. Like, we got to shut him up because he has thousands of followers or whatever that are listening to him talk. And now they're messing up our bag. They're messing up our money, our system. We can't have that.
Money is the biggest influence.
So, exactly. Because we live in a monetary world. We live in a materialistic world where, you know, nobody wants to go and work a job. And that's unfortunate because there's some jobs that are fulfilling. But when people were like, yeah, I could just make a bunch of money to just fall into the order of whatever these bigger systems are telling me to do, and they'll give me money. They'll give me thousands of dollars just to do that. Like, okay, like, I don't care about it that much. Instead of being like, no, I'm willing to die on that hill because what you guys are doing are wrong. And I'm going to stand and die on my hill because I don't want to lead people to the slaughter. And that's what a lot of people do. Yeah. And that doesn't mean from saying the wrong things. It means from doing the wrong thing, which is muting yourself when you have a place where you could talk to people.
And that's happening on a micro level now too with these influencers and all these brand endorsement deals and all of this stuff that's been going on. Like, you think about influence in the grand scheme of, like, okay, presidency, government, those people are the ones that make shit happen, right? We would like to think, and they're the ones that make the rules that all of us as a society have to agree to and abide by. But if you think about it on a micro level, these influencers now, anybody can be an influencer. If you have a cell phone, you can be an influencer. And all of these influencers have their own mini audiences that they've cultivated, a following behind them, that believe in them, that like them, that will listen to what they say. That's the power of influence. So then as an influencer, you have two choices. You can go in the direction of morality and make the right decisions and make sure you never lead your audience astray, or you could chase the bag. And whatever brand deals are given to you, you kind of promote them in a sense to where you can get your audience to buy into that. A good example of this is, like, I watch a lot of basketball YouTube people on YouTube, right? They make basketball content. They talk about NBA trades, you know, whatever's going on in the NBA. But if you look at who sponsors them, it's Prize Picks. So these influencers that I'm watching for their basketball insight and knowledge and however they break down basketball, I like them for that. Their agenda, they're pushing on to me to bet on basketball, to become a problem gambler, right? In the grand scheme. They're doing it like, oh, you can win this much money. You know, oh, I just hit, I bet $10 won $250. You know, you could do this too. Follow me for my picks, you know, all that stuff, right? And Prize Picks is giving them a bag to say all of these things.
They know they're going to recoup tenfold on the back end.
Exactly.
They're like, oh, I'll give you $10K for a post because I'm going to get $100,000
of your
by
people.
the minute, by the weekend, because of these people that are just like, oh yeah, I got $5 to, oh, you'll match my $5 and give me $10 credit, knowing that I'm probably going to lose the line.
Yes.
And then it's all going to come back to your pocket. So you're not only going to get your money back, but you're also going to get my money. They're going to make, and then it's funny that at the end of every Prize Picks commercial, if you have a gambling addiction, please call 1-800-GAMBLER. And
because they have to say that.
It's like, bro, talk about the problem and the solution. It's like, yeah, we know you're bored. We know you have money that's disposable in your pocket, even though you probably shouldn't be spending it on gambling, but you know you're probably going to. So instead of buying a scratch-off ticket, here, do these picks. I'm also an influential guy, so go ahead and take it from me. These are my lineups of this week, and you could X your money by 5x by using code whoop-de-woo-woo, like whatever. And then
code
you're like,
Heavy3TM.
You're like, oh, well, I got some time to kill on my break today. Let me see. You
know what's fucked up,
you're like,
though?
oh, this is a cool lineup.
You know what's fucked up? And that's based on the...
I don't condone this, guys.
Yeah, I don't condone gambling either, you know? Like, of course, yeah, we gamble a little bit here and there, right? But I don't condone it. I don't promote gambling. But what's fucked up is this. If you look at the current state of the economy and the amount of stuff that's going on in the world right now, we're in a recession. They're not even going to call it a recession. They're not going to call it a recession until 5 years later when we're out of it. Then they'll look back and call it a recession. But let me tell you, we are in a recession right now, right? From COVID, from all of that stuff that's happening, people don't have money. People are in a lot of debt. It costs too much to buy a house. No one can afford a house. You can't even afford a car anymore. The minimal amount for a car, like the average cost, is around $40,000 now, which is ridiculous. If you wanted like a mini SUV for your family, it's going to run you at least 40 G's, brand new. That was never the case before, right? Everybody's broke right now, but they're promoting gambling more than ever before. If you watch NBA, if you watch MLB, NFL, whatever sport you care to partake in, there will be a commercial at the timeout that talks about Prize Picks, FanDuel, Underdog, whatever the gambling platform is. And that's because they're taking advantage of an economical situation going on. People are desperate for money.
You want to know?
Yeah, go ahead.
No, I don't want to cut you off, but it's because all right, that's like the beautiful thing about when you're saying that it takes me to like the point in process of like I think like logically the way that is broken down into society, and that is when there is a scarcity, right? You want to eradicate what you have because there is this like burning desire within you that is like, and there's psychology behind it, but if you have only $5, right? You only have $5. You are more likely to spend that $5 than somebody that has $50.
Yeah.
And the reason for that being is because the person that has $50 values that $5, because they're like, bro, it took me a lot to get this 50. Like, I don't really need that thing that costs $5. Like, I actually like seeing it in my pocket more than I like to see it dispersed out to nothing.
Like hoarding money.
Yes. So people that make money hoard money, and it's because it becomes this game, and that's like the path to success. It's about this like that. The idea of having the money that could buy you the thing is sometimes more important than actually buying the thing.
Just knowing you could afford it.
Just knowing that you can do it. And then the more times over that you know you can do it, the more that you're like, that gives me more of a position of power to tell somebody like, oh, I could show you that I could buy that 20 different times over.
But I don't want it.
But I don't want to.
Yeah.
Because I feel like I'm giving my power and giving what I worked for into that thing that's really not going to bring me shit. And that comes from a place of making money.
It's abundance mindset.
Yes. And when somebody doesn't have shit, they're more likely to, it gives them anxiety to even see it because they think they're unworthy of it, because they think like it's like a bothersome thing. Like, you know how many times whenever I was like in the worst positions, like I corrected that way of thinking early on, and I was thankful to come upon that thought process was from living in it and seeing the way people reacted. Like, you go to a liquor store and it's always busy. You go to a liquor store and it's always in a low poverty area of your town. You're never going to go down fucking Eastgate.
You won't see a liquor store in Beverly Hills.
You're never going to see a liquor store next to a golf course. Like, you're just not going to see that. Like, the golf course inside has a liquor license to sell alcohol because they want to make the monetary, charge you
$30 a drink.
Exactly. And then the people that go there have the money to spend that. So then therefore it's a win-win for those people. Now when you go back to a place where somebody only has a little bit of money, and then they find themselves after every single day they're back at that liquor store, they know, oh, with $5 I have enough for a scratch off ticket, a pack of smokes, and a drink. That's obviously going to be way more than $5, but you get the point. It's like it becomes a routine and a system because they can take that $5 and they can see, and they get to indulge in what it gave them.
Yep.
And then they know that the next thing they have to do is not to go make another $5 or $10 because they want to make the money. It's because they want to make the money so they can buy more of what they just had. Because that gives them this disillusion or this illusion of, oh, the more times I buy that, the more times that I've been able to do that, the more success that I've found in being able to repeat this process.
It's like an ego stroke.
It's a sickness that I think that lives inside of poverty. So if you do that to the economy, where if everybody has a scarcity, they're more likely to be more of a consumer. Because if I can't have the opportunity to stack up money because it leaves quicker than it comes, I might as well be able to say, oh, well, at least I bought this. Oh, I bought this. Oh, I bought this new shirt.
Yeah.
Oh, it was only $5. I bought this. It was only $20. I bought this.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm hungry right now. Like, I could go home and cook, but I also could buy this. So it's these like constant little measures of gain that are all fictitious. They're all like bullshit. It's not real. But to the mind of scarcity, that is value. It's filling these little holes that you can't fill elsewhere. Meanwhile, the person that's profiting off the consumer, they're just reaping more and more, and it's like collecting these people that are servicing their system that allows them to then have an abundance of money, abundance of being able to buy the things that they don't need and don't care about, because they're more involved in like the idea of collection of money. And if people could flip that and be like,
take the power back, then these 1% people would not be where they are.
It's just really difficult. It's really hard to look at $5 and see 50,000.
Yeah.
It's really hard. But if you can correct that and you could go take that 5, and then next week, if you don't spend it, now I got 10. Now I got this, now I got that, now I got that. Now I could take this and then put it into an investment or whatever. And I'm not no fucking red pill like finance bro. Like I'm not. Like that's not what I'm saying. What I am saying is because I've lived and just recently climbed my way out of suffocating poverty, and I'm still working my way out of, you know, life debt, not like stupidity debt, like literally debt that you accumulate over surviving and like needing to be able to, which is good. You have those systems, but if you don't have a plan to get out of it, you will find your way back into where you came from. And then it's going to be even harder to climb out the second time around. So
that's why it's called the trap.
Yeah,
you can't get out.
And to that point of where you're saying, so sorry I go on this little tangent, but that is the collective thought of what you're going off of in gambling, where you're like, oh, if I could get the economy down to a negative place and a low, what do you call it, like
desperation?
Yeah, low morale. People are just bummed out and fighting and arguing, and everything is just like, people are upset and like nobody smiles, nobody holds the door open for people no more. It's never, how you doing? Oh, I'm doing great. How are you? It's always like, oh, all right.
Again, bye.
Another day.
Yep.
And it's like
mundane.
If you can see your society speaks that way, if your society carries that, like where they're mad and a stink face on everybody, and it's like, of course you could go and give them an ad where they could go and be like, well, fuck, I guess I'll gamble. And then if they get that little hit, that little dopamine
addiction,
that
bro.
little dopamine, they're like, oh,
dude, these people are profiting off of our dopamine addiction.
Well, that right there is, I mean, just like porn and anything like that. And those things that could give people instant gratification, instant dopamine, is the most addictive thing, because people want to be accomplished. And if they can't be externally, they'll be internally accomplished by doing those self-fulfilling things that are bad for you, like
cigarettes, alcohol. Those are the early dopamine monetizations, right?
Yep.
Like they created these products to make you feel good so that you continue to buy them.
Having an anxiety-driven attachment to a smoking device where you have to hit it every 15 seconds or every minute in order to feel okay, in order to get to a baseline of even. And then without it, you're in like this crashing, like instant, like, oh shit, I need, like, what am I going to do? What am I going to do?
Benjamin addiction.
It's wild. But if you could put that constraint around society and get them all to abide by that certain type of feeling and lifestyle and making those things easily and readily accessible for them, then yes, you can 100% guide people to come over here and do this. Guide people over here to come and do that. Oh, I just made this new company. We're going to funnel it out there with marketing and make it enticing and make it cheap enough to where people can have a low cost of entry, and then raise the prices once they're committed, because now they're along for the ride.
Yeah. Like whatever happened to like good old boring utility based products, you know, like a hammer. Like why can't people just create stuff like that again? It serves its purpose, just like that. That's it. Instead, now it's like funneling all these dopamine addicted devices to get you hooked onto whatever their product is, whether it's streaming something, whether it's gambling, whether it's porn, whatever their product is. They're trying to monetize based on how good it makes you feel by playing with your receptors in your brain, you know? Totally. And it's just like a fucked up situation. Like we're in the dopamine economy right now. It's like people are making billions just off like this shit like that. Like nobody's making useful inventions anymore. It's just brain rot every day. You know?
Well, the useful inventions that are happening, I think, are down a direction that is going to put a split
AI
in. Yeah, it's good. And this is a great, it's funny how we do this, but it's a great segue into not necessarily back into AI, but talking about the excuse me, the system in the way that like the world is happening. I was thinking about this the other day whenever I was driving, and I was like, you know, the way that we are going with AI and the way that we are going with society and being integrated with our technology and devices, like, you know, growing up when we were kids, like, dude, I never really had a phone with me ever. I didn't have a cell phone until high school, or like end of junior high, and it was a flip phone. I think freshman year of high school, the very first Razor. iPhone came out with Doodle Jump.
2007.
You know, like, yeah, and then from there you become more and more integrated. Now I remember going home from school, getting on Facebook or MySpace
on your desktop.
Yes, on my dial-up Ethernet yellow cable connected to my house phone, which I still know my house phone number from when I was a kid.
Yeah, me too.
It's funny, but
these kids would never.
Yeah, and anyways, to get to the point, the idea is that I feel like the people that split from leaning to where technology is going to be the next uncontacted tribe. Now you see when society went one way, and then you have these tribes that are like deeply founded in their spirituality and their roots, and they kind of, the argument is where they left behind or they choose not to go.
Yeah.
Right. And maybe it's a mix of the two. That I really do think so. I really do think that there's like something that happens where it's like, it's fucking crazy to think about that there is a split in this world of people that don't even know that
any
this
of this
is
shit
existing.
exists. Yeah.
Like,
AG went to go hang out with them.
Yes, and we are the advanced civilization. We are the technological half breed of man and machine, right? And morphing into a cyborg, and we basically already are. This is just not integrated into our being,
brains yet.
But it is a part. It's an extension of us. It's, if you went to go and tell somebody like down that tribe, they'd be like, that's sorcery. Like, that doesn't make sense. You came here from another planet, right?
Yeah.
Which then sets for an argument of like what aliens are, you know, to us and shit like that. And
that's a whole other podcast.
No, exactly. and it could be an interesting one. So like, to maybe just leave a breadcrumb within this conversation for a future one. The uncontacted tribe idea is that if right now there is a divide in our society where we've gotten to this level of advancement and understanding, and then they're like, oh, we have this Neuralink where you can put it into your brain and we could essentially preserve your consciousness. We could implant you into a system, into a robot, into a whatever,
like
so you can live.
cyberpunk.
Yes, you could live here, and your essence could be in this robot where your body will not deteriorate. Your parts are interchangeable, and then also too, you can flip a switch, and now you could take your brain and you could transport it into a
new vessel.
server.
Yeah,
and now you're in a video game like Ready Player One, and they are on the brink of believing that that is entirely possible. And I think now it's just a level of waiting for AI to get to that place that we're waiting for it. We're catching up to it, I think, and then also quantum computing and whatnot. So if the people that don't go down that road decide, like, I'm not taking the Neuralink, when that version of society ascends and carries on, we are the uncontacted tribe.
That's true.
We're going to be the last generation of people in flesh that have not then turned over to robot. And it is Twilight Zone talking about this.
It's crazy.
Because like before you'd be like,
it's not that far off.
Yeah,
like,
before you would be like, that's a crazy plot to a movie, dude. And then now to talk about this, like, oh, we're on the brink of this being like a reality. It's
what's fucking
insane.
Crazy to me is we're already on that brink, right? We already have Neuralink talks. We already have robots that are like starting to become a little more sentient and like functioning and all that. But you also have to think, bro, 20 years ago, we didn't even have fucking internet. Look how much has happened in 20 years, 25, give or take. That's a
short amount of time.
That's a very short amount of time. And we've seen throughout our life, being born in, I was 96, you were what, 92? 93. So it's like throughout our lives, we kind of seen the progress of everything. We've seen what it was like to play outside as a kid. We've seen what it was like for these iPad babies, you know what I'm saying? And then now we're going to see Neuralink chip implantation, AI, like all that shit. And I think it's possible because it's like, if you think about it, the brain is just a hard drive. The brain is just in your head. It's your computer that's unique to you. If you're able to figure out a way to take whatever's in this hard drive in your head and compute it to zeros and ones and turn it into like a physical hard drive, well, who's to say you can't just slap that onto any device? You know, like the old Xbox 360s. Your hard drive used to break. You just pop that thing out, put on a new one, and then look, now you got a new hard drive. Like, who's to say that's not going to happen with our generation? You know, like, look how much has happened just in 25 years. It's nuts.
Oh, I think it's coming, dog.
It's coming.
No, it's yeah, it's a trip. Sometimes thinking about it, I think there's also another direction that the world could go, and I don't want to talk too deeply into it because it's kind of a bummer and it freaks me out a little bit sometimes. Like because I just go down my own mental rabbit hole, but like the idea of the power grid and where like China is at with technology, and like that they're kind of like they've infiltrated our power grid, I think, to some extent, and this race to technological advancements, and then also kind of where we're at with war and stuff. Like I said, I don't want to make that what this podcast is about, so I won't go deeper into it. But those thoughts are like, before we are on the brink of this technological advancement that like cracks the understanding of what it means to be human, it's like whenever who was it? Albert Einstein, when he says the third world war will be fought with sticks and stones or something like that, or whatever it is. I could be saying that wrong, but essentially it's like, if a nuke goes off, if we have, you know, the Moab, mother of all bombs, drops, and then you're flattening places, and then you have China that can turn off your power grid. And if you don't have power, you don't have access to refrigerators and medical devices and getting your medication and things like that, you really do resort back to a primal, like, you better go get your guns and your bullets, and all you people that
your bows and your arrows.
And you thought, guns are bad. Wait till your entire life when you see the reality of the disgusting primitive side to humanity that comes out whenever your back is against the wall and it's life or death, and it's your family and their family. Yes.
Apocalyptic.
So it's like there's also many different paths that I think right now we're at a fork in the road with humanity. It could go into so many different areas, and if you don't have like a resolution to conflict, and if you can't talk people off that ledge, and you just get one person that's hovering over that button with a fucking itchy finger, and they go ahead and it's like they make decisions, and that's the thing is, like, we're put so much power into other people's hands, and we're just going out about our life, jaying off all the time, drinking alcohol, you know, smoking our vapes, like eating all this processed food, working a dead-end job that you hate, barely surviving, living off your credit card, have no purpose or idea of life. And then that's like this like
whole other
to
battle.
The degree of where things could go, like those seem like champagne problems. Like they don't seem like they're real problems, but they are, because those things also need to be at the forefront of your mind, of working your way into being
your individual life.
Yes, be the best version of the human that you can be, because wherever the world goes, you need to be at the peak and best performance and best health and best mental clarity to make those decisions. Because if you're in a constant place of confusion and of being able to be swayed by an ad, and you have been taken out of the seat of thinking for yourself and being able to make educated decisions off of what you really believe in, like what you truly agree with and don't agree with. And if everything in your life is just like, well, I like this person and they said it, so that must be true, or I'm a hard leftist or I'm a hard right, so whatever they say is true. And it's like, no,
sheep mentality.
It's like, you could be a Republican, and if you really think about Republican, but you also can look at it being like, there's a lot of shit that's not right here. Or the same thing with the left. But I think the world has been so like, you're either this or you're that, and you have to die on that hill with everything they say, even though most of it could also still be wrong, because the adverse of that is the devil incarnate. So then you're just like, well, whatever that is, we're not, even though there is a mix of the blend that's kind of like volleyballing over your head of these shared ideas that are just being masked into something different, which is called a Republican or a Democrat or a conservative, and so on and so forth. But there is like this really big thing that I think that our minds have been taken out of the equation, and now we're just looking for anything that virtue signals to us, like that this is the path that's the most righteous, and this is the path to Christianity, or this is the path to this, that, and the third. And then it's not until it all goes to shit that you'll have a moment of clarity to sit back and you're like, no, actually my fucking community mattered. Like the people around me that before I found out what their political points of view were, they were actually somebody that I could have probably been cool with. They're actually somebody that I would want to have supported and helped and built something with, or built a better community with. And instead it's like this constant attacking, like I got a MAGA sticker on my truck and I got an American flag over here. It's like where I have like a, whatever. It's
never ending.
It's always this like external branding for an internal point of view, and it is it's this identity that you're taking on. And we talked about that in the last podcast, that it's like, it's very important to know what you are and what you're not, and who you actually are and what the makeup of you is, so that you can align yourself properly with being the best for this planet and for other people that you can be. And living in a state of anxiety and hate and disagreement is literally not the way that you're going to be able to achieve peace and keep these negative things from consistently happening,
1000%, bro. I mean, I heard it in a Russ song. He said, "There's a scarcity of free thinkers. It's all group thought. It's not what you think. It's what they thought."
Yeah,
You know
that's a
what I'm
great line. Group thinkers is it's a huge tribalistic way of formulating ideas that you don't even know where they came from.
Yeah.
And when you group think, sometimes you're like, did somebody outside the group say this and somebody in the group repeated it and now we think of it as our idea? And if that's the case, then your group think could be infiltrated by external sources that need to stir up the fucking pot. So if you're in a group think bubble that is trying to get a grasp of like, what do we even believe in? And then somebody
just throws something out there.
And then they go talk to one of those guys in that group outside of the group, and then
bring it back to the group.
And then next week he's like, you know what? I had this conversation and I think this is fucking right.
And then
the group is like, yeah. You know what? Yeah, fuck them. And then next thing you know, it becomes this tribalistic. We're willing to die with this way of thinking.
People just need to have their own opinions again. Like, that's the only thing in society, bro. It's just we rely on way too many other people to tell us how to view life, how to think, what is the meaning of life. No, you should know. It is your life. It is intrinsic, not extrinsic. External, sorry. It's like, I don't know, man. It's just people rely too much on influence. And that's where influence is like powerful. And that's why we're constantly getting fucked all the time as a society, because we just listen to whatever they say because we think that's the right way because they said it, not because we think it.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
I think we tend, and I'm saying we because just as a human,
people.
Not as like a me and them or whatever.
Yeah.
It's literally, I think, like the way that it works is they know that hate fuels the largest fire. You know, it's gonna burn the brightest, and not in that positive aspect, but just like it's just what. It's what drives the most attention. And they know this through Facebook. They know this through Instagram and through TikTok. And you go through the comments and there's just so much of this like, oh, he said something that doesn't align with what my group think is. So I'm going to go and attack this person and say that they're wrong. And
controversy.
And then you get people underneath that thread of conversations where it's like, oh, this comment has 16 comments on that comment. And then you see it's like, F you, F you, F you, F you. And it's like, well, what is going on here? And it is because I think that the best way to get people to conform to an idea that you want them to conform is to make them hate the opposing side more, because then they will overlook the negative of where they are.
Yeah.
That there can't be any negatives here. It's kind of me playing off of what I said a minute ago. But yes, and you go with that because we all know is that hate will blind you. Hate blinds your heart. And so you are blinded because you are enraged by hate. You are easily swayed, because I could get you mad and just direct that madness over here.
You just see
and
red.
You're gonna go that way.
You just see red.
Oh, that was interesting. Okay, now I'm gonna go. I want this person to go this way. Let's start some debate that some people are getting mad about over here. Oh, and then you start going over there, and you be like, oh, these people are easy to fucking herd. Because they're moving off of hate, which means they're not thinking clearly. They're not thinking with their heart. They're just confusing it all with this veil that society puts on you that this is the way that it is, that does not align with remember where your heart is. This is your heart. And it's like, no, this is my hate. This is what I'm mad about. Mm-hmm. And then you confuse it with that's like who I am, is like that I don't agree with that. And it's like, well, maybe not. Maybe you've been told to think that way. I don't know, but only you would know that if you really drop that ego or drop that anger and just be like, hey, it's all gonna be okay, dude.
Take a chill pill,
like,
Kill
it's
Bill.
all gonna be it's all gonna be okay. But that's the thing, is being able to have open dialogue with people that you disagree with is super important. Like debate in college for communications and stuff like that, where I think one of the coolest things in debating, which is like, I think it should be taught in high school, is that if you can
articulate an idea.
if you can have opposing sides, but not just opposing sides, there should be two sides to that, right? You should go into it as an introductory where you pick the topic, and then you pick the side you agree with, and then you argue with that person in a healthy, productive way, where you're not be like, well, F you.
That's literally what our presidential debates are. They're just shit talking each other for like an hour.
Not this
rather
past
than
couple
like
of years.
Actual
old debates used to be like it would be formulated with a conduct of respect and patience and being like, well, I don't agree. And they would kind of chip at each other and laugh a little bit. And the crowd seeing that there was a level of respect, even though they deeply disagreed with one another's points.
Yeah.
And that was important. Now it's like this, like, gotcha, ha, ha, ha.
It's just like all these punchlines.
And it's become
it's
this,
like,
like yes, it's become this childish way of being like, you know, well, you did it first, so then I can do it too. And it's like you can't be mad at me for what I did and then you go do the same thing to justify it because you disagreed with my actions. Now you agree with my actions because you replicated it.
It's like, bro, you're okay 80 years old, grow up.
It's just so, but that's what they know fuels this, like, but what I was saying to the second portion of that is like not to just agree with, or not to just argue from your standpoint, but then the second portion of that curriculum should be now this person's going to pick their topic and their opinion. Okay, you pick that same topic and this is where you stand, flop it. Now where you would normally have agreed with, debate the opposite of that. So then you could put your shoes in other people, or your feet in other people's shoes. Now you will find within your heart, find a way to win your argument by choosing their side's point.
You know, they did that in like debate classes too. It's like first they'll put you guys against each other, be like, okay, you are pro drilling, you are con drilling, right? For oil, right?
Yeah.
And then it's like, all right, do all the things, say all the things that make you pro, say all the things that make you con. All right, now switch. Con guy, you have to say the pros now. You have to say the cons now.
Yep.
And then come up with new ones. You can't say what they just said.
You know what oftentimes happens when people do that practice?
Productive shit happens.
They also sometimes flip, and they're like, oh, I actually don't agree with where I stood because I was only thinking blindly from a place that I was right. And like now that I had to defend the opposing side as that being my position, it's like actually see, because I did it on my own, having defined these ideas and these thoughts that have shifted to be like, you know what? This is actually not that bad. Or maybe I'm in the middle. Maybe I agree that there is negatives and bad to this and that we should be very cautious before we make a decision. But when you have like, you know, what is it? Shit, I forget the term, but when people start like petitioning off of ideas that they know nothing about, but they're doing it because they're doing it because it's a place of like groupthink or virtue, and they're like, we should really do that. And I'm not going to put an example on it, but people that are just like, oh yeah, like no, yeah, we should do that. It's just like
listening, thinking it's fact, rather than doing your own research and thinking for yourself. You know, that's where it comes from.
Yes, people that have an ability to have distance from the problem tend to go based off of whatever they think sounds the best,
unbiased.
Right? And that's unbiased. I think we're thinking about it from two different ways, but like if I am from California and I'm making a decision off of, say I'm from Southern California, which obviously I'm not, but say I'm in Southern California, never had to deal with mines and people mining and stuff like that.
Yeah,
and then on the ballot box, it's talking about like we should reopen up mines because of da. But then the people that live next to the mines, they realize like how catastrophic it could be for their society that they built, for all the chemicals and toxins and this and that
going into their water.
But the people down south,
they have no idea
because they have enough distance from it that they're only going from what the benefit. Oh, but we could get all these raw minerals and gold, and it'll boost our economy, which means I'm going to do better. Nobody even takes
the time to go educate the people in Southern California.
But the people that are closest to the place, they're like, but this is going to ruin our water. It's going to ruin our health. It's going to cause cancer for the lungs. It's going to da. But the people down there are like, but it's going to boost our economy and it's going to make me more money.
Yeah.
And therefore, I'm all for it. See, that is right. That's
fucked up,
because you have too much distance where it's not my problem, only a potential for my benefit. And that's not okay.
No, because as a society now, it's like we've listened to other people's opinion, but we still only value our own lives rather than other people's, which is wild because we're down to hear your opinion. But when it comes to your life, well, who cares? As long as we're benefiting in our little area that we're in.
If your economy and your society did better, you would be more inclined to have kindness towards things that don't affect you but affect others.
Yeah.
You know, if you were in a better place where you weren't worried about your survival or worried about getting that extra little bit of money, and your community was strong and people had a better morale and they were happier, and they actually waved to one another, like when cops would actually wave back to you and say, hey, how you doing, or hold the door open for people. Bro, the cops around here growing up, and I'm sure they're like that in LA too, I say hello and wave to everybody. I'll hold the door open for everybody. I try and be as kind as I possibly can.
They won't even look at us.
For no benefit of gaining anything other than to know that if I just project to be a better person onto the world, hopefully that person will then carry that on and do something for somebody else. And so when I would wave to police officers, I'm like, they mug you, and it makes you feel like
they think
like
you're like fucking with them by saying hi to them.
I just say, hey, how you doing? Like, hey, have a good day. Like, I appreciate it. You know, whatever. And always it's like this, like, don't fucking look at me kind of a thing. And I know that all too well from where I grew up. Like, I know when somebody don't want to be interacted with. Like, I get it. I'm always going to just be like, you know, whatever. But there was a time when the police officer was who the kid wanted to go up to and get a sticker or just say, you know, thank you for your service or da-da-da or whatever. You'd buy them a coffee and stuff like that. And now there's like this divide even with that. And
well, because of all the abuse that a lot of police officers
right,
have done,
because you're in a society
with
low morale, so cops have to be this hardened, and then they become indoctrinated within their system to be that same way. So then the way that it's amplified onto the public is everybody is a criminal until proven otherwise. Everybody is going to cause me harm until proven otherwise.
And that's social media. It's because social media just spews hatred, controversy, violence, because that shit sells. You know?
Yeah.
But I mean, with that, man, I guess it's probably time to wrap up this
I was gonna say, what are
episode.
we into it for?
We are probably an hour and a half in.
Oh shit, right on.
Something like that.
Cool. Well, so let's not end it on a negative note. We have a co-host here. Let's fucking
fly, bro. Get the fuck out of here.
Crazy. No, but to go ahead and like, let's just end it on a positive note. Is there anything that you want to add? You know, let people know about your journey and where they can find more about what you're going to be showing about your life. And also we didn't start with it, which I know we kind of just jumped into it and we talked before the podcast started, but I always like to do a check for inventory. So, you know, how are you feeling after your last chemo and did you get the MRI for the brain scan back, and what's the word?
I did the brain scan MRI yesterday. It's just been a fucking headache, bro. So like I told you the story off camera, but I'll tell it again. So pretty much the person that scheduled my exam for my brain MRI and for my PET scan, they had told me on the phone that I should schedule both of those things in the same day so that I don't have to go to the hospital twice. I don't have to fast twice, you know, all of those things. And I thought, okay, cool. That's easier for me. I'll do it both same day, right? So the first appointment was for the brain scan. And it's crazy because even that morning of the appointment, which was yesterday, the hospital called me again. They're like, hey, just in case your brain scan takes too long, let's push your PET scan appointment back an hour, because it's always better to be early to it than to be running late, because if you're running late, they won't take you. I'm like, all right, cool. So then we're like, we'll push it back an hour. So I do my brain scan in the morning, and then I actually get done with the brain scan early. So I end up waiting an extra hour because I have to go to the PET scan appointment next, and it got pushed back. So I got done with the brain scan early. I waited a bit. Then I went to the PET scan appointment. And at the PET scan appointment, they told me, oh, you did a brain scan this morning? Did they use contrast dye? And I'm like, yeah, that's what they always use. You know, typically for me, like, yeah, I always get contrast dye. And they're like, oh, you can't do your PET scan anymore because the contrast dye is going to interfere with the PET scan. And I'm like, then why did y'all schedule it the same day? First of all, weeks ago, y'all scheduled it the same day. Second of all, y'all called me this morning to push back my PET scan so that I would have time to do both the same day. So shouldn't this mistake have been caught this morning if y'all are even calling me about it? So now it's like I waited 3 months just to get the PET scan. I couldn't even get the PET scan because of all that. And I was just hella mad, man. I was just like, dude, like, that's not cool. Like, whoever scheduled that royally screwed me, because I also had plans to go out of town this week. I was going to go to LA, then I was going to go to Vegas to finally celebrate being like, you know, done with chemo and all of that. And now everything, I got to reschedule it, and I got to make 2 trips to LA now. It's going to cost me double the money because I got to go back and forth now twice because of gas in order to make it to the new PET scan appointment that they had to reschedule, all because this person that scheduled the initial one didn't know that you can't do both in the same day. you know, so that's just been fucked up. It's been a headache, you know, but what can you do now? Like now I just got to wait to get the next PET scan.
Did you get superpowers though? What's your brain MRI?
Bro, I don't know. I don't.
Oh, you haven't got the.
I haven't got the result.
I think was it 3 days?
Yeah, it's like
something
2,
like that.
3
Could
days.
take up to 3 days.
Yeah,
okay.
but
well, we'll keep everybody.
Yeah, I'll keep everybody updated
in the loop as well as you already know. I tap in with you regularly, so we'll have probably another episode in between this one and then by the time you get your update. So you guys be on the lookout for that. Go ahead. I mean, I know you'll drop these clips and stuff like that on your TikTok, but go ahead and talk about your TikTok real quick.
Yeah, you know, you can follow me on TikTok at ibeshocker. I post there pretty much every day. My entire cancer journey is on TikTok. I'm now starting to post my videos on Facebook as well, Instagram Reels, YouTube Shorts, everywhere now. This podcast will make it to all of those as well. So, yeah, appreciate y'all being on this journey with me, and you know, much love. Right
on. Well, I do want to say a closing piece that I know we touched on a lot of, which I know we never know where these conversations are necessarily going to go, which is the beauty of it. Yeah. But with the light of what we did talk about today, I just wanted to encourage everybody to do what you can to think for yourself and to be kind to others and be kind to yourself. Move with what I try and do is what I always say too is the check for inventory. How do you feel? What do you need from yourself that day? And not in the sense of giving in to, like, you know, like we talked about, like weak pleasures and things like that, but what is the things that you're avoiding in life that you could be challenging yourself to do that you know is going to make you better? Who do you need to contact that day that you haven't talked to that may need some love in their life, that you could just write them a message and just tell them you appreciate them, and remember to let yourself know that in the mirror and let yourself off the hook, and but also to that same point, hold yourself accountable.
Yep.
We appreciate you.
Yes, sir.
You know, it's been you know, fun these past couple episodes, and we're gonna keep it moving. If those of you that want to drop some comments and let us know, you know, other topics of what you'd like to hear us talk about, as well as if you've had any medical scares or things like that, or anything from the topics that we talked about today on with your experiences, and
drop them in those comments.
Yeah, so appreciate y'all, and until the next time.
Yes, sir.
See you later.
Yo. Do.